YSOO.
How long have you been a fan of Sidewalks and Skeletons?
Since high school, honestly. They're the best. I love their vibe. I love their music. Everything about them is just so ethereal.
First found a song on my Discover Weekly like 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was Glass Coffin. I've just been kind of listening here and there since high school, so a few years.
We've been following them for a few years. We've been listening to them, and we're married, and it's always one of our jams at home when we have like party nights. And we also think the venue is so cool. So we thought it was like perfect, and especially around Halloween.
What is your favorite Sidewalks and Skeletons song?
Dissolve.
We love Euthanasian Days.
Is that your favorite as well?
I love it too. Yeah, that's my favorite.
What song are you most excited to hear tonight?
Goth.
Goth, period.
Shorty literally invited me. She said, "Do you know what they are?" And I'm like, "I'm not sure." She's like, "You heard their music?" She says, "Goth." I looked it up and I'm like, "Okay,
goth.
I'm here, guys. I'm here."
Definitely the most popular goth. I heard this song like almost like, I don't even know. I was like so fucking blacked out, drunk, and I heard this shit somewhere, and I was like, oh my god, this feels like a fucking revolution. Like, what the fuck am I listening to?
This is YSOO, and we are here with Sidewalks and Skeletons. Hello.
Hi, that's me.
I was gagging him a bit about how my British accent might come out tonight.
That's good. I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right, let's get started then.
Yeah.
So you're on tour, but tonight you're here in New York City, and it's Halloween weekend.
It is.
Are you excited about tonight's show?
Always excited. I never know what to expect, but it's always fun. I always think there's probably going to be about 10 people here, and then when it sells out, I'm very surprised. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm very grateful to everybody that's come through.
How have you been connecting with the fans on this tour? And when you're also performing, what's the energy like between you and the fans?
I feel like because of the fact that I don't have a microphone, I can't communicate with the fans that much during my set, but I definitely do a lot of this to like let them know that I appreciate them. And Jacqueline speaks to them when she's on. And then after the set, I usually just immediately go into the crowd and I'll start like chatting to people. Sometimes they might have bought a t-shirt or something like that. So I'm always really grateful for that. And I just, if they want me to sign something or anything, you know what I mean?
I just got a CD, so I'm gonna ask you to sign that actually.
Cool, let's do it, yeah.
I personally discovered you guys way back in the 2010s. I was on Tumblr.
Nice.
I was on Witch House Tumblr, and I found you guys. So tell me, how did Sidewalks and Skeletons start, and how have you evolved since that beginning?
I mean, I started making electronic music in around 2006, but it was all just like very weird soundscape type stuff with like, samples from horror movies and stuff, usually reversed. I was really inspired by like subliminal messaging and things like that, and just like creepy stuff. So I was always just making what I called at the time horror music, because there was no like name for it yet, the genre. I was in bands for a while as a guitarist and stuff like that, and I sort of like wasn't making much electronic music during that time. And then I came back to it in around 2011. And when I started putting music out, I was kind of only really putting it on SoundCloud because the laptop that I had at the time was like it would just die. It was very unreliable. I went back to check on it. People had commented on it. I was like, oh, people are actually listening to it, you know? People told me the music that you're making is witch house. Because of that, I looked up witch house and I sort of like explored it, and I was like, wow, yeah, this is exactly the sort of stuff that I'm making. I just started tagging everything that I was making as witch house because that's what people were telling me it was. So that community was very accepting and just full of really good people and really talented artists. Things sort of went along at a steady pace, and then I thought, right, I'll release like a proper full-length album, and I released that in 2013. It was an album called This Is Your Escape. I think the first show that I did ever was that same year, supporting Rituals in London. And Rituals, for those who don't know, is like one of the pioneers of witch house music.
You have built a massive fan base in underground internet culture. How does it feel seeing that community like grow globally? Since it starts, you know, it might start from someone just listening to one song on the computer, you know, finding it on Tumblr like me, but then becoming lifelong fans. So what is that feeling like?
Honestly, it never gets less surprising. I never expected people to really listen to my music or connect with it. I'm just so grateful for that. So it's constantly just very surprising, encouraging, and it's a crazy feeling, especially coming and playing these shows and people actually being there and looking out and seeing a full room. That's just like the coolest thing ever.
How was the name chosen? I'm interested in that.
So I actually came up with a name when I was around like 19 years old. Like I said, I'm very existential, and the name was supposed to be a metaphor for things that remain after death. So the earth that you walked and your bones are like the only things that you leave behind. Sidewalks and Skeletons.
Mention how you discovered that your music is pretty much witch house at its core. I wanted to ask you, how do you think the witch house music scene has changed over the years? I feel like it had a really strong emergence, and then it's becoming more and more rare, I think, to find kind of like emerging witch house artists that go by that kind of like specific genre. So how do you see it?
A lot of us like have like a big group chat together. They'd like kill me for telling you this, but yeah, we have like a massive group chat where we all talk to each other, and a lot of the time we'll share like new artists that have popped up, and it'll be like, have you guys heard these? And then we'll check them out together. We always just think it's really cool that like there's more popping up. A lot of the newer ones are more like anonymous, like a different community with them and with us, and it's like we need to all band together again.
Sidewalks and Skeletons has a distinct aesthetic. So I wanted to know, how important is atmosphere to you compared to like the music itself, when it comes to you creating the music or trying to create a specific atmosphere for shows as well?
Like I said before, I was always very inspired by like horror music and horror movies. I feel like the basis of that is like atmosphere and feeling and like what vibe it gives you. So that's just like a natural part of it to me. Whatever I'm feeling at the time, I want to try and put that into music as best as I can. It's like capturing a moment, a feeling that you have, and being able to capture it and like lock it into a piece of art that then stays there, and you can listen to it back years later and remember exactly how you felt when you made it.
You mentioned horror. I need to know, what's your favorite horror movie?
Oh, well, I don't know how many people know this, but the album White Light is inspired by a horror movie called Goth from 2003 by a director called Brad Sykes. I watched that movie when I was 13 years old, and it like really had an impact on me. And the fictional drug in the movie Goth is called White Light, and it's a fictional drug that causes you to have a near-death experience.
I need to watch it. I'm a big horror buff myself, so. Your music obviously has certain like gothic elements and undertones. Often lyrics touch on sort of dark subjects, you know, like death. But there is also always, in my opinion, an underlying like peaceful, harmonious, like ethereal energy to the sound as well. So how do you balance those like dark and light elements in the music?
It's literally all just what I feel, and sometimes it takes shape while I'm making it, you know. So it can start off being that I'm capturing a certain feeling, you know, whether I'm in a dark place at the time or whatever, but it always moves into some sort of almost like a hopeful direction, because I mean that's life itself, innit? So I always try to have something that reflects multiple feelings throughout the course of the track, not just one atmosphere all the way through. Sometimes it's one atmosphere all the way through, but other times it's a journey, and I like it when it's a journey.
If your music was a world of its own, what would that world look like?
It'd be very purple, wouldn't it? It would always be night. Everything would be like neon purple. All music would have a lot of bass, a lot of sub. You want to feel it, you know? When a venue doesn't have enough sub, I'm like, come on. Everybody needs to feel this in their chest. What else?
I'm trying to think as well.
Yeah.
Imagining it. Churches, maybe, like old
Ooh, yeah, like
churches.
yes, you got it. I'm really inspired by like that sort of architecture, like Gothic architecture. We went to Milan recently, like we played a show in Milan, and they had this like giant cathedral, and I literally spent like an hour just staring at it. Definitely a lot of Gothic cathedrals with like purple glowing from the windows in the middle of the night.
It's dusty and there's cobwebs and
yeah, big cemetery. Yeah.
Definitely, I see that. More personal note, just wanting to get to know a little bit more about you. Where are you from?
I'm from a town called Bradford, which is in northern England. It's kind of strange place. I'm sure if anybody's from Bradford and they're watching this, wouldn't mind me saying that it's quite a bleak place.
Gloomy.
Yeah, it just is bleak in many different ways, and anybody from there would agree. It's definitely contributed to why the music sounds like it does. You know, it's a rough place, strange place to grow up. Don't go back there very often, but you know, I try to every now and again.
Did you grow up listening to any music that's remotely like the type of music that you make now, or is there music of different genres that you think has influenced your sound in any way, or that you just simply enjoy?
I've always just been into like darker genres. One of my favourite artists when I was growing up were like Marilyn Manson, Korn, Slipknot. Obviously I'm a millennial, so some of the first like electronic music that I really fully connected with was Crystal Castles. They had an album called Crystal Castles 2. It was released in like 2010. I had it on CD and I listened to it and I fell asleep listening to it, and then the music was like embedded in a certain part of my subconscious. They have a track called Their Kindness is Charade on their album Amnesty, and I produced that track. So if you ever get the CD, look in the booklet and it'll tell you. It says Jake Lee, that's me. When I heard bands like Crystal Castles, that was the first time when I realised that electronic music could carry emotion. The electronic music that I was used to hearing, you know, the top 40 type thing, especially in Bradford, is just different. I feel like I need to give a disclaimer. I'm literally about to go on stage in about 10 minutes or something. Also, we played DC last night and I've had 2 hours sleep between then and then now, you know, about to walk on stage now. If you watch this far, love you all and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sidewalks and Skeletons. Bye-bye. This was Warzo.